call the planning commission meeting to order. Okay. Roll call's the same as before. One person's going to be here shortly, and Gary's here. So Gary's now here. We don't have an agenda to confirm in this meeting. We'll have it in the next meeting, right, John?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so, old business, potentially appropriate areas in Kingston Springs for HUD overlay designations.
We're gonna make this mercifully brief, with your permission.
Thank you.
We had a discussion sometime back, and I'm gonna kill the lights so you can see the one on the screen a little bit better, about areas, prime for development that may need a special touch and a little bit of HUD overlay.
I'd like to have the lights back on.
Pardon?
I can't see this and I can't see that.
Well,
This is at least
you know, we could do what we did when they did the Board of Zoning Appeals, everybody got their chairs.
Tony, no matter what we do with the lights, you're not gonna be able to see like
That
this.
Minority, yeah.
Well, it's
See, but
just-
if I
this
do
is a lot
that,
better
you
than
can
that.
see.
Yeah, but we got this right here in front of us.
Perfect. All right, so in front of you, I'm going to focus on Kingston Springs Road, west and east, right here.
Okay?
So this parcel, you will all recognize is somewhat familiar to you. It's been the topic of discussion several meetings in a row.
The strip mine.
For
Yeah.
utilities. I am suggesting that we look at adopting a PUD overlay, which will give you a little more latitude and control over these types of activities than you have now. For this parcel, as it feeds back, since it's the subject of development all the way back to here, right, discussion for development, this parcel at the other end here, which will give you some flexibility with design, layout, density, all of that sort of thing. And then this fabulous piece here with a stick on it. You see this? This is Lubin Hills Road. It's a
Liven Hills
very
Road.
large area of land, undeveloped. So these two parcels, this area back to here, this area back to here, located along your major corridors, will develop in a relatively short period of time. How do I know that? Because Nashville's running out of room. So those areas are ripe for putting an overlay for a PUD. What does an overlay mean? You already have PUD regulations. But the last time somebody wanted to develop one of those areas, you suggested a PUD might provide flexibility
he said
and benefit, and the applicant was, no. So
He
if
was
you,
at the meeting, he was agreeable till his lawyer.
stuff happens. So I'm sure his attorney understands the ramifications of signing PUD overlays to these areas. But because they are so critically important to you from an economic development standpoint, from an entrance standpoint and appearance standpoint, my advice to you would be to consider those parcels that I pointed out for adoption of a PUD overlay.
How would this affect Mr. Carl Francis' proposed development?
None, because my understanding is what he is proposing would fit seamlessly within a PUD.
Okay.
The PUD also gives you the ability to reserve areas along the border for commercial development and then extend residential development behind it. It gives you some flexibility for density, road layout, and other things that are not available on the base stone, which results in a much more seamless interaction between the areas of development. It also allows you to reduce cost to the city. So that's my
And how does it
advice.
reduce costs to the city?
It reduces cost to the city because instead of me saying, oh no, John, you can only develop this little parcel as commercial without any thought to what's behind it. So you're gonna put just the services here for that little parcel, and you cannot stub them out into the other zone because it's residential. So it would allow you to seamlessly integrate water lines, sewer lines at the correct size for any type of development, so you don't result in heightened costs for reducing a 4-inch line down to a 2-inch line. Same thing for sewer. It also allows you to adjoin the roads for free flow of traffic rather than saying, no, 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 no. You're only gonna do the road back to that point and stop. So it allows you to make those natural connections, and you can lay those right-of-ways out all the way through at the same time.
Inside the overlay?
That is correct.
Okay.
All right, what do you, Will you propose, an ordinance to the, or do we do it all here?
The
What's the process?
planning commission will recommend to the city commission the adoption of the overlay HUD district.
Okay, do you have the boundaries to it?
I will have to get those to you. This is our first discussion. You asked me to bring back appropriate areas, so I'm bringing them back. So we don't have meets and bounds, or, because you could tell me no easily. So those are the areas I would suggest to start out with to write that flexible zone.
So
I
that
mean,
would
this
be.
is pretty important, I think, that
What?
we do something like this, because this is,
Oh,
It is
yeah.
really
we need to have this control.
Oh, yeah.
And we've
Yes.
got a lot of stuff coming.
That was
and if we
proven
don't,
in that case.
Yeah, I mean, we know exactly
Well,
what
it's-
happens.
It's
We end
for
up with a dirt
discussion
lot, so.
purposes only tonight
Yeah.
on your agenda, so.
Nah,
if
well-
they
So can we
come
make
back-
it part of the next planning
Yes.
commission meeting
Yes.
too? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I like it because it's proactive, and I'm new to a lot of this stuff, but I sat in 2 meetings in Nashville where there were presentations on the Charlotte overlay.
Right.
And if any of you haven't seen how Charlotte is being
Oh,
reborn, that was driven by an overlay.
It was.
And same thing with 21st, which is
Yeah.
becoming even nicer now. There was an overlay, but there was a lot of agreement between people
Well,
on
that's
building
it.
the road.
is.
Well, we have
and-
an opportunity for input into what tracts of land fall into it.
Yes, you can, anybody on this board can send me suggestions
Well,
about other areas that you feel may benefit from this type. It
Well, I think-
provides a win-win for everybody. It's flexible from the development standpoint, which reduces their costs, but it also gives you the flexibility to make sure that your infrastructure is being built out seamlessly
sure
rather than piecemeal.
where these boundaries are, but I would assume this would go in it. This is all in the floodplain.
All of this area,
Well, but.
I know there's
wouldn't
flood
it-
area there, but there's,
That, no, that's down there, but this is all on the bluff. All of that ought to be, he's got a bunch of it.
right. All of this area,
All of this,
all of this,
and then this.
and this parcel here,
Is
and
there-
then, yes, there's a
Okay,
question. And then these large tracts here, what you're gonna find is gonna happen because of the way you handle floodplain development within your city, is people are gonna continue to do the same thing that Thornton's did. They're going to subdivide off all the flood area,
Yeah.
which is great because they're not gonna build on it, right? But then
Right, I
how
mean,
do
that's
you
the
get
part right
infrastructure
here.
through it?
Right.
But this
Right.
is developable.
Right.
Yes.
This
I'm not
is-
sure any of these boundaries are good anymore.
So what I would suggest is that we look at all of these available large tracts that are adjacent to those major corridors and include them in that description.
But the one across the street too, from the,
Yes.
by the school, right? Because that's
Yes.
what I was gonna, I thought that's what you were talking about.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, like, we started only talking about one side of the
Right,
road. I'm
yeah.
now asking about the other
She's
side of the
asking
road.
about the
Both
other
sides,
side.
yes. That was my next question, but then you should answer.
That is correct. So are you comfortable with me bringing back a legal description and furnishing with a
Yeah.
map, say within the next week, that you can look at, it's marked up
Good idea.
with those?
Please do.
Yeah, and at some point, can you educate us on like how, the stakeholders or the appropriate people are involved in the process, so it's not a
Absolutely.
hocus pocus surprise thing?
Well,
On
the,
top
the
of
first
it
thing
is-
is, I recommend to you areas that are appropriate, and
Right.
then you absolutely need to have an article in the paper that explains
Right, all
everything, that
whatever
that
whatever
reaches
that
everything
stuff
out.
is, yeah.
Mhm.
Just so it
Okay.
happens right.
That's all I had.
Okay. There's a new business, is that something, is there anything that has to be done here? It says Thornton's project,
It's a moot point.
it's a moot point?
Well,
Because it didn't go
they were
forward.
approved, that's
Because of
correct.
that.
Because it's
tabled
not,
as
because
of
it's a
now.
Because it's
pay,
tabled
okay.
because it didn't go forward.
So
And
it's-
you've given the variance that you can give, and the planning commission can't move any further with any plans or anything until the other
All right.
issue is addressed.
Is there any other business?
Wait a minute, does the planning commission need to have a motion to forward to the city commission a request for
What we
engineering
just-
services?
We did that.
The design
Design
review board
review.
has that same
Oh,
latitude.
okay.
And it went straight from there to the city commission.
That'll
Okay.
be on next
Very good.
week's agenda.
Okay, any other business?
Mr. Chairman, was there a confirmation of the agenda?
Yeah, we confirmed the agenda, we did not,
Minutes from the last meeting.
Right.
no,
No, I don't believe there was a
No, no, there
confirmation
wasn't,
of the
there was not a
agenda for the
confirmation.
planning
I thought,
commission.
I said it was minutes and it was the agenda, so no, there was not. So,
One question.
I move that we confirm the agenda.
Second.
all approved?
Alright.
Okay.
All right, now,
Tom?
Tom,
What about the lot that Francis has got out there where he's been dumping rock? That's
That's
subdivided
inside
here as
this.
commercial, is
It is.
it? Well, how's that gonna be, you need to consider how that's gonna impact what we're gonna do with the back
End of the
road
putt.
and the buffer.
Carl's two
The
front lots.
front lot.
Right here, these two,
Yeah.
yeah. Where he's dumping grab, stones
Right.
and stuff, yeah.
So,
That's gotta be access to the back property.
It is.
yes.
I know that.
That's where he's gonna
Just
put it.
asking a question.
He's gonna abandon one of those
Yes,
lots, I
you
suspect.
can abandon one and then take up the other. Quick update, not on the agenda, but just discussion only on the McPherson property. We met staff with Mr. McPherson and his engineer. That meeting lasted in excess of 2 hours. Mr. McPherson had a lot to say. We left the table with the understanding that his engineer would submit to us a plan for remediation. A month later, Mr. McPherson called me and said he has no intent of submitting a plan for remediation and wanted to beg your indulgence and allow him to sell the property as is. We explained to him we could not do that. He's outside of the TDAC permit. So, next move for staff is for the city attorney to advise him in writing that his time is up because your ordinance and code dictates how much time he has, and then we will see him in city court.
Oh, boy.
I don't want to get there. We tried everything we could to get it there, but not only is he not submitting a plan, he has advised his engineer that he just wants to stall long enough to.
That'd be Sam
Sell it.
Edwards in this case, right?
Yes.
What?
Sam
Yeah.
Edwards would be the,
Defend us?
well, no, he would be the, what is he?
No, this goes to city court,
City
like where you
Yeah,
get
I know, but-
tickets.
okay.
and-
Well, I know, but because we appointed a municipal hearings off, or what, you know. so it
Doesn't
just
fall
goes-
in that
so-
category.
okay,
This
doesn't
is
fall in
just a
that
straight
category.
code
Okay.
I was
violation.
gonna say, would it go to the city court or to Chancery
City
court?
It's city court. It's a city
Chancery.
code violation, what he's
Yeah.
doing. So it just goes to city court and the
Somebody
judge.
better do
What
some
happens in
educating.
those normally is, everyone that I've ever taken there, you tell the judge what the issue is and all the steps, you prepare a dossier, you hand it to the judge, he knows what you've done to try to resolve the issue, and then you just formalize it. He goes, boom. In 30 days, you will hand to them a plan for mediation. That's as far as they usually go.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
there needs to be
Do we-
some process within the staff to educate the judge. I'm here to tell you, I know the judge.
Been there, done that too.
Okay.
So who's his honor here?
It's the same, his
Maxey.
honor that's in
Yeah.
Ashland City, Judge Maxey.
That'll be a piece of cake.
Is there anything?
That's
for
what
us to
everybody
do
said
on
when
that?
we lost the one up here too.
Well, one of the assets that we have is kind of a sideline, is that my better half over here has taken over 200 cases before Judge Maxey as the code enforcement officer for the county. So they have a somewhat good understanding of each other.
So do
And
we need-
rapport?
Do we need to do anything?
it's beyond anything that the planning commission or the staff can do at this point. When somebody just straight up flips you off.
So John
you
will
just have
take
to
care
move
of us getting that legal letter done and move on.
Yep.
Jennifer.
Jennifer will do that. You guys assigned it to staff and it goes out under city.
I'm over adjourned.
Second?
Thank you.
All in favor?
That's not debatable anyway.
Meeting's adjourned.